Hello, this is Louise again with Rock, and we are here for the 30-minute podcast. I'm not sure if Max will be joining us or not, so I guess we'll just talk about what was going on for the week, which I haven't really been paying much attention to.
Yeah, I really
So
haven't either.
I haven't, since I quit my other job, I don't have as much time for politics. I thought I could listen to politics on my new phone, but since when you click the button, oh, I'm echoing again on your end.
Oh, are you? What are
Yeah.
you now?
No.
Oh, okay. I was scratching my ear.
Oh.
I lifted my headphones up.
But I thought that I could listen to stuff up there, up at work while I'm cleaning, but the way the phone is, if you turn it off, the whole thing, the screen and everything goes off, so you have to keep the screen up. And when you're moving around, stuff hits the buttons and messes it up, and so I'm like, okay, like I was told if I got YouTube Red, I could turn it off and
Yeah,
still get
yes, yeah. If
sound.
you're listening to, if you're on YouTube, if you don't have YouTube Red, you can't turn the screen off. Where it used to be able to, and then they switched it around where you can't. You turn the screen off, the video stops playing.
Is that why
But
they did the YouTube Red thing, so they could basically charge people money
well,
not to have to do that? Because
I
people
think that's
use that.
part of I think that's part of it. But if you listen to a regular podcast, you don't that you if you're not listening to it on YouTube, you don't need to do that. If you listen to a podcast on something else, you
Right,
can listen to it.
right. I usually just use my uh, what's it called? My MP3 player.
Hmm.
And so I thought, well, I can do politics. I don't know. I should check and see if iTunes has those because sometimes they'll have the politics I listen to. But since I stopped listening to Shapiro and all those people,
Yeah, I think they're on iTunes,
they
right?
are. I just don't
Okay.
like listening to him. I think
I
he's
don't
a
like
creep.
iTunes. iTunes is maybe
I
it's
don't
because
like it either, but
I'm not familiar enough with their format, so I always get confused when I'm using iTunes. It's easier to just either watch it on YouTube or to go to a web if I'm listening to No Agenda, I just listen to it on their website.
you get used to it, I think. Oh, I'm echoing again.
I wonder if that's on your end.
I don't know. It wasn't doing it last week. I don't know
Hmm.
how to fix it. How do you
Well,
fix it when it
I
echoes?
haven't done anything on my end other than press down on the volume, and hopefully my voice isn't like super like it was last time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask Chris. I don't hear me echoing now. I don't know. I turned my volume down a little bit. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, we really don't have like we like cheap like my headphones are like a $19 pair of headphones.
Well, he has a nice set of headphones. I don't know. It was fine last week because he has to have his gaming headphones. But
Yeah,
so I
gaming
guess,
headphones I think are different. That's what I have. These are gaming headphones too. Gaming headphones are not the same quality as if you have like a microphone. Like you've seen all the live casts that like Andy Worski and JF had the little
yeah,
microphone setup. It's like if we want to sound good, we would have to buy something expensive.
right. So I guess the news this week, the only thing I really know that was going on was the whole Roseanne show getting canceled, which I don't really care, but it does seem fishy that like why would her show get canceled if it was the number one show, if it wasn't political?
Oh, I definitely think it was political because it's like all there's they I've heard examples. I can't think of anybody right now, but there are other examples where they got a pass because they were Democrat or they were talking the right ideology. Like that one woman that was I think I don't know if she was CNN or MSN or she was I'm not
MSNBC.
maybe, but she said something mean about gay people and back in 2011 or something, and they found that, and then she's like, "Oh, what my account was hacked." She was claiming people traveled back in time, or they wrote that on there and changed the date. So either they were time travelers or super hackers, which I don't believe either. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
super hackers could happen, but I don't really think they would. Why would they choose then to
I
do
have
that?
no idea.
They would just make her say evil stuff now. That would actually make more sense if you hacked into someone's account. I would think.
I just think TV sucks now anyway. I really didn't like Roseanne that much when it was
Yeah,
on
the thing
in
I
the
didn't like,
80s.
the thing I didn't like, Sarah Gilbert. I'm not sure about the other ones, but Sarah Gilbert and Wanda Sykes, who was one of the, like, I don't know if she was the head writer, but she was one of the main writers on this for the show. She quit, and then Sarah Gilbert said, "Oh, that doesn't represent us," and so I guess that there's feuding. I'm sure they're all pissed off at Roseanne. It's like, who wouldn't be? It's like kind of lost everybody their jobs, but
How did she
they
lose
should have
just because
known.
of that? Is
It's because
that
that
why?
tweet. Because that
That's why
tweet.
they
That's what.
canceled their whole show?
Yeah, and then Wanda Sykes quit, and I think shortly after that they're like, "Oh, let's cancel the show." But I bet the show was going to be canceled anyway because it was a number one rated show on TV, and it was pro Trump more or less, or that's what people said. I thought it was it's like there's a little kid wearing it that wears a dress that's like a
See,
non-binary. So
that's
it's like
kind of fucked up.
how pro Trump is it really? It's like Roseanne's character was pro Trump. We know Roseanne in real life. Roseanne Barr is pro Trump.
Which is
So
odd since she's a communist. Like I listened to her on what's his name, gay dude, Ruben. About
uh
I guess it was about a year ago or maybe it was
oh
longer
yeah,
than a year
yeah.
ago. And she was saying she was basically communist. She said give people something for all the taxes that they pay in. But she liked Trump for some reason, which is
Yeah.
odd. Maybe she knew him in the business world or
Well, if we're
something.
gonna be paying in taxes, we should get something back. But I don't think we should be paying in all those taxes.
No, I don't either. It's not fair. You know, you figure how much more money you'd have if you didn't pay. I mean, it's crazy how
Or
much you
six
have to pay.
if we didn't have to pay taxes and Social Security and Medicare that we don't even have access to, I would get over $600 more a month.
I know. And if you didn't have to pay for insurance, like that's another thing that how
Well,
expensive insurance is
well,
for
like right
everyone.
now, I only pay $60 for insurance every month
That's
with
more than
my
that.
plan.
It's like 68. It's going up to 68 and then it's going to keep
Oh,
going up.
oh, I'm sure it will. Well,
You
we
guys
just got
got
a
a
raise.
letter about it or
Just
whatever.
got a raise, so we're gonna get the taxes, or we got a raise, so I'll have to pay more taxes, and then the insurance is gonna go up, and so I'm screwed on all counts.
I
The
applied
only
for
good
a
thing
job.
is my retirement, my the money I put in retirement will go up then.
Don't make it more than me. You're making twice what I'm making now, so don't complain too much. I'll have to work two jobs just to make what I was making. Basically, I applied for a job this evening for a $14 an hour janitorial job on a graveyard shift,
Oh, really?
and then I saw you have to pass a drug test, so I withdrew because I know I couldn't pass. If they did, they probably won't call me up anyway. I applied for three different positions there like a few weeks ago, and I got emails saying they went with other applicants on every one of them. But if I keep
Where is it?
applying at Pinnacle, and they
Oh,
pay 14 something an hour to start. So it's like
yeah.
I'm gonna keep trying. It was graveyard shift too, which made me think maybe I'd have more of a shot because who wants to work those hours?
Right,
But
but
I thought, man,
who's gonna work graveyard and pass a drug test? That'd be very slim pickings.
well, I could have passed one except for this weekend and last weekend and the
I think
weekend
if
before.
yeah, well, I think the drug test thing is kind of a scam. It's a way to because usually it's like not all the time, but a lot of times you have to pay for your own drug test. But all the companies, oh look, we have drug tests, so they pay for it, and you just have to drink a bunch of water before you take it.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't want to risk it. I'm gonna wait and just like not smoke anything for like a while and then apply. I mean, I might like my job that's coming up. It just won't pay anything. And I was thinking
yeah,
that's if I made 14 an hour, I would be making more than my last job and I'd only have to work one job. And yeah, it would suck. I'd be on third shift again, but at least I could hang out with you.
yeah. If you wait a month, just go a month, and you should and just eat and drink normal.
Oh, I
You'll be
know.
able to pass,
I
no
know.
problem. You'll probably be able to pass tomorrow if you just drank like a big glass of water before you peed.
Yeah, I just don't want to, I wouldn't want to risk it. And then, oh, you're not eligible now because you failed. Like I said, they might not even hire you anyway. They might just put those up there and you really have to go through a temp agency to even get hired. It
Right.
seems like that's the way
Or it
things
could
have
be,
gone in
or
this
it might
town
be,
now.
or it could be that they don't hire anyone that applies. They only hire someone that they pick. They're like, oh, you need a job? We'll give you a job. But and they just have those just for show. Like, look, we offered people jobs. They just didn't want them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just keep my eye open. I don't particularly want to work there, but $14 an hour, because I'm sure it'll be gross. Like you'll have to clean like food waste and all this
Oh
nasty
yeah,
shit.
and it's like it
It's
could
not
be
gonna be like
worse.
where I'm cleaning now, where everything's kind of new
Right,
and
but it
it's
could
not
even
too
be worse
messy.
than like or other places. If it's like if it is a that's a shopping center, so that would it's like
No, it's
is
not.
it, oh, is it
It's a
not?
place that makes food.
Okay,
Where Campbell
Pinnacle.
Soup used to be.
Okay, okay. I was thinking of
No, I wouldn't drive
the
to Rogers. No, this is like here in town, but they always have new listings up, so I don't it makes me wonder if they have a high turnover. But it's like if I keep applying, eventually maybe somebody will go, "Hey, call this person back." I don't know. I don't know
the
how it
only bad
works.
part is if it's a high turnover, that means either the people they hired aren't very good and or they're not used to janitorial work, or they're not they just couldn't handle it, and so because it's so bad
No,
that they
people are
couldn't work.
lazy though. Like
Yeah,
at my new
I
job,
know.
even people just don't want to work. Like I was talking to this kid about that, and she was talking about that, how that's why they have all these Mexicans doing all this work now, because people here think they're too good. And it's like in some ways she's
Oh,
right.
I think I agree. I think a lot that
Part of
has
it
a
though
lot
is
to do with it.
they don't want to pay people either though when you don't have to pay taxes, and 5, 10 people live in a house together, and somebody like me or you, we're gonna have to make more than $2 an hour because we're gonna have to pay all these
Well,
taxes and
I think most even if you're an illegal, you're not going to be working for $2 an hour unless you're like the biggest fuck up that ever lived. That's all, and it's like who would want to hire you then? It's like that would be I think that'd be very rare for someone to be making $2 an hour. Not now,
right, but they still make
unless they're
less than
unless they're being held hostage. Like because there are like did I ever tell you about the time I worked at Villager Lodge?
yeah.
So they had some illegal immigrants working there as a housekeeping, and
Mhm.
they had a room for them. Their phone was permanently turned off. They could not leave the premises, and if they did, they threatened to call ISIS or yeah, ICE or whatever it was back then, the threat to have them deported. And so they were afraid to leave. They couldn't call anyone. And so they came I was working the counter and they came up and they're like, "Can we use the phone?" And I was like, "I guess." And then they told me the whole story. I was like, that's illegal." I was like, and they're like, we need to use the phone to call a taxi. That's what it was because we want to leave." And they're like, you're not going to rat on us, are you?" And I was like, "No." I was like, it's like that is wrong. It's like what that is going on there. That's wrong. I've quit just like maybe a week later. I wasn't working there anymore either because I quit. It's like they're just really shady. And then
Right.
but it's like I'm sure that that is not uncommon.
Well, they do the same thing with those people with those visas that do tech work.
Oh
They
yeah,
pay
yeah.
them a lot less than people here that are they get people from India. Basically, if you work for like Microsoft or something and you have a contract with them, and if you try to go somewhere else that pays more, you'll get sent back to India.
So they probably pay them like minimum wage, or just barely
They pay
minimum
them,
or
from what I
whatever.
heard, they pay like if you're like an American and you got a degree and you're good at your job, they usually make about 90,000 a year, like
Uh-huh.
in California, which I imagine there is probably like middle class because the cost of living is so high. But they make
Uh-huh.
around 90,000. They said these people come in and they make about 60.
See, I
Michelle
think that
Malkin did a show about it on
see that's
CRTV a
I think
couple years
if they're
ago.
gonna bring the if they're gonna bring those people over on visas, regardless of what we think, what they should be doing. That it's like the employer should not have control on where you can work. If you get over on here, come over here on a working visa, you should be allowed to go to any job you want that is willing to hire you.
I don't think we should even have working visas as long as people don't have jobs. Unless it's just something that you can't fill. Like the thing too is they
Well,
say some of these jobs, like these jobs picking vegetables and things, they could automate that, but it's still cheaper just to pay people from like
oh yeah, I know.
farms of the third world. That's
Well,
why that
it's
salmonella
basically.
outbreak happened because those people didn't know
I
about washing
wonder.
their
Yeah,
hands.
I know it's ridiculous. I wonder if that's true or not. Because why?
If what's true.
Oh, about paying if instead of using machines to pick the crops. Well, it depends on what the crop is. You don't like if it's a let's say grapes. You cannot have a machine um pick those grapes off the grapevine without destroying the vine right now. But in a couple of years, you might have like robot android people that are can pick, and it's like that will could be cheaper than like when you automate stuff, everything becomes cheaper. The food will become cheaper. But the thing is, um, because why did America become so great or became so wealthy? It was after the Civil War. America got started getting big. Before that, we were like nobody, or like we were like a country. All the other countries thought we were going to fail because we were just barely getting by. Why was that? What was holding us back?
I don't know.
Slavery.
Oh yeah.
Because they were, instead of um
They didn't
paying
try
people,
to
yeah,
automate.
yeah, instead of or well, it wasn't just the automation, but instead of paying people and like let's pay people um based on their skill and their value, they didn't have to pay anyone. And so the people that were slaves, they didn't have any interest. All their interest was not to get whipped. It's like, we'll work
Yeah,
just
but
hard
not
enough
that
not
many
to get
people
whipped.
had slaves though.
I know, but most
Up
of the
north they
but
didn't have slaves, so what's their
I know,
excuse?
same thing. It's like everybody. It's like they didn't pay people. They didn't treat people well, and so the people that had jobs, all they just worked hard enough not to get yelled at or beaten or whatever. Because they beat regular employees back then too. That was like
Hmm.
back in the old days. You had a job, you could get beaten by your supervisor or your boss. And
Well,
if you tried to quit, depending on if you're like in some kind of sweat factory, if you're, let's say you're an immigrant from like some Irish person from overseas or wherever, you're working like in a some kind of sweat factory, you try to leave, they'll lock. It was basically the way it is in China now, and it's like stuff like that held the United States back, but it held every country back. And so as soon as they started paying people what they were worth, they're like, oh, okay, you can get more work out of someone if you pay them, if you give them a reason to work hard. If you don't give them a reason to work hard, they'll only work hard enough not to get in trouble.
I think
And
it's kind of like that now though too. I mean, I'm not saying we get
oh
beat
yeah,
at our
a lot of
jobs,
well, I
but
mean, a
it's
lot of
like
jobs it is.
they don't pay people, and it's like, I mean, you don't really get rewarded for the work you do if you work extra hard, and if somebody's related to somebody or they're kissing somebody's ass at that job, they're going to get the promotion over you even if you don't deserve it.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw that kind of shit, where you work,
yeah.
like they play favorites and
Well, it depends on what
stuff
type
like
of thing
that.
it is. If it's like if you're let's say you're in manufacturing, and the more you make of something, the more you get paid. Guess what happens?
People work harder, but we don't
Yes.
really make anything anymore. It's rare that we make
And so, but
anything.
with a service job, it doesn't really. It's like you don't have to work that hard.
But most of the jobs
You know what
now
I'm
are
saying?
service jobs.
I know.
The
So
thing.
if you're not going to get paid anymore, no
Why
matter
even work
how,
harder?
like let's say you're in hospitality or something, and no matter how nice you treat somebody, you're not gonna get
Advance.
paid anymore. But so you're
Yeah.
just gonna treat them after a while. After you've been at the job, you might, even if you're a nice person, after a while, you're just gonna treat everybody more or less the same, and you're just gonna treat them nice enough that they don't complain to someone about you, so you don't get fired.
Right. There is a need for like jobs like plumbing and sheet metal workers and things like that, and truck drivers. That's another thing. Like they need truck drivers because of all this talk about automation, and trucking has scared a lot of young people into not wanting to get into it. But I've been reading stuff and I don't think they're ever going to be able to automate that 100% because people that have driven trucks are saying like, oh, try to back a big truck into some icy alley in Chicago and stuff, like a machine's really going to be able to do all this stuff. I think we're years away from that.
Oh, I think so
And
too.
so these
I
places,
think
and even if they
eventually
did,
it
you're
will
going to
be.
need somebody in the truck too. They're just going to let a truck go without a person in it. I mean, maybe they could have it to where if you're on the main highway, the truck could drive, but you're going to want somebody to guard the stuff because you tell me people aren't going to like try to take those and like
Oh yeah, people would
truck
steal the
jack
truck.
those.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like there's a driverless truck. How many people? I'm sure there are people that do that with trains now, or they have like the train police and stuff.
Yeah. Well, you see
Well,
people, all the graffiti on
you'd have to have even if you didn't have a driver, you'd have to have a guard that went with the
truck.
truck everywhere it
Yeah.
went.
I thought about doing that. I was looking into it, but you have to do a 19 shift um, shifter. And it's like, yeah, I can barely shift a regular car, much less a semi with
Oh well,
19.
you wouldn't. They'd be like, "Here's the keys.
I
Go
know
get
they
it."
train you, but still, it seems like a lot of stress. If you and the thing is, it pays good, but at the same time, it doesn't. When you think you're on the road, I was reading most of the jobs, you're on the road for 2 weeks and you get 4 days off. So you're constantly on the road.
And
And
so
so you get paid decent, but you're always on the road. So it's like you're not really getting paid a whole lot when you consider how many hours you're out there and you don't get to see people and you have to deal with bad weather and I mean, there's just all kinds of
yeah,
things and you don't get a shower. Like some of these people say they'll go like a week without a shower, and it's just I don't
and you
know.
might
You don't get
only
any
get.
exercise.
It's like so I'm not sure what the prices are now. So I know at one time I would see advertisements where it'd be like truck drivers, 10 cents an hour or 10 cents a mile. So let's
Mhm.
say you have to drive 3,000 miles. That's only $300.
Yeah, I think
So to
it's more
get
than that now.
so let's say you got
50
paid.
cents a mile,
Oh, is it?
something like that, I
Surely it's
think.
not that much. That would be
It
crazy.
depends on the truck
So
company, but I've seen people say they can make up to 60,000 a year doing it.
so
But
if
you're
you
gonna have to
yeah
work though. You're not and,
yeah
people don't wanna work on the East Coast either. Because I saw one place that was advertising trucking, and it was like, "No New York City." You know, it was like a plus because people don't wanna have to deal with that in Boston, and I wouldn't even wanna deal with Chicago, you know, the way people drive
yeah
crazy, and I've known people that were truck drivers, and they've said stuff like that's what makes it hard is having to back into little stores or little things with your semi in this alley, and there's all this traffic, and it seems like it'd be stressful in bad weather. If you had a team, it wouldn't be as bad. If you're like a husband and wife, or you had a friend or something, and you could do it with them, but you probably start to get on each
yeah
other's nerves after a while too if you're cooped up in a truck
yeah.
together.
I think you would. Let's see.
I'd just take a cat with
So if
me,
you to drive 3,000 miles, if you drove 24 hours straight, it
which
would take you would have to
probably
drive at least 62 mile. You'd have to drive at least 62 miles an hour to for 24 hours straight for 2 days to drive 3,000 miles. So to drive 3,000 miles, you'd probably be, I think you can only drive 8 shifts at a time or 8 hours at a time, and then you have to sleep. You have to not drive for 16. But they always lie on their books. They always lie on their logs. So
mhm.
they'll really drive like 16 or 24 hours at a time, and then they'll write in their log that they really drove less.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's some videos where people on YouTube talk about trucking life and the pros and cons. Like some people said you can make good money, but kind of like what I said, you have to drive in all kinds of bad weather and you never see anybody. They said it's like definitely a lifestyle change. It's not going to be like working our jobs where you go in and you go home at the end of the day. You might not see your
Yeah.
loved ones for like weeks. And you don't get any exercise either. You're just sitting in a truck. So I don't know. In some ways I think it'd be
Yeah.
fun though cuz you get to travel around and get paid
You
for
wouldn't
it.
get to, but have to worry about going down, backing into little alleys and stuff. And I think if you're like, if you're in an accident, it's like your career's over. Because it's like
Yeah, I don't know.
you're probably gonna be either totaling unless it's like a little fender bender, but you're either gonna be ripping out a street light because you turned too tight or something. I don't know.
Well, that's why you
I've
go to trucking school to learn how to do
yeah,
all that
but
stuff.
a lot of those people that drive that I've seen, they don't know how to drive. They drive over curbs. You've seen people making turns and they like scrape cars and stuff.
Well, it's
They
probably
don't.
hard.
It is. Remember that time we were on the way when we were driving to St. Louis, and we were like stuck on ice, and there
Yeah.
was like we drove by, and we're like, "What's the holdup?" And there was just a skeleton of a big rig, and it was all burned up, and someone probably died in that.
Yeah, it's sad.
It was still smoking.
That's another one of those thankless jobs too that people treat people like
Yeah,
crap and it's I really think it's kind of like janitorial and other jobs where people don't care and they treat you like scum and
because it's like if you're in a car let's say the truck is out of control, you can get out of the way. Like one time we were almost run off the road by that truck because it hadn't bothered to get over. And if
mhm.
I hadn't slammed the brakes on, I went through I had to drive through that barricade
Yeah.
because if I didn't, we would have been run off the road by the
Yeah.
truck.
Yeah, I
Um, but
remember that.
but if you're on a truck and there's some wild person on the road that is out of control, you can't swerve and stuff to miss them. it's like you got to keep driving because if you swerve, you could end up flipping the truck over or causing a whole. Not only do you have to worry about that car, but all the other cars on the road too. It's like the slightest mistake, you could kill about like 20 people in just the wrong little turn. Like if you just turn the wheel too much, or you jerk,
Right.
or you fall asleep at the wheel, you could easily kill people. So it's like the people that are truck drivers, they, I think they should, one, I think they should be paid more, but two, it's like people should respect them a whole lot more than they do.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it takes balls to drive a truck. That's the thing with me too. I don't want a lot of
Either
responsibility at
that
my
or you're
job.
just desperate. It's like it's like feel like you don't have any other choice but to drive, and it's like I think part of it they just do it out of desperation.
Well, yeah, because it pays good and people need money.
Yeah,
I was looking at going to plumbing school. They have one near here. You have to go and those pay, it says it starts at
how
like
much does it cost?
40,000 a
Does it
year.
cost? How much does it cost?
I'm not sure. You can become an apprentice sometimes too. It says you can look into it. It's
I wonder how
nasty
much.
work. I
Oh, it
don't know
would
if they'd
be.
let me do it because I'm a girl though. I mean, they say they do, but then people don't want to deal
No,
with
I
you.
bet they would. I bet they would if you, as long as you weren't, as long as you didn't like, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to break my nails type thing. I don't think they'd have
Mhm.
a problem if you're willing to do the work. Because it's like, I think if you're, as far as plumbers go, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, as long as you can do the work. And I don't think they care regardless because it's
Right,
like,
but I
how
think a
many
lot
people
of
are
women
actually going
wouldn't
to do
do
that?
that though.
No, I
They'd
know.
probably
And so I think if you are as like a job like a plumber, I think, as far as getting on if you're working for a company, I think that you would have a better chance. The only problem I would think is you'd have to worry about the plumbers' wives. That's who you'd have to
why
worry
would I have
about.
to worry about them? Are they going to be working with the plumbers?
No, but they would be jealous.
So they're not going to be working with
You know what I
me.
mean? They're like, well, you don't want to hire her because I'm jealous type thing, or you can't hire her. How can I trust you around a woman? That's what I could
I doubt
imagine.
that that's how
That's the
they
only
run their
that's no, I
businesses.
know, but that's the only way I could see them not wanting to hire you because it's like it'd be a plus if you're a plumbing company and you had a female plumber. There are certain situations where um some people may feel more comfortable having a female plumber come into their house and do work or wherever than they would a man. So like remember our friend that was like, "Oh, we can't go in there. There might be a man in there." Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That 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 is there are thousands of people like that, and it's like if you're a female plumber, that actually might be a good idea. You should really look into it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that though. That'd be
Money,
pretty
but
gross.
you could be wading like waist deep in like those fishing.
Sewage.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Hmm.
It's like that. It's like I know. I've heard of people having to do that where like someone I knew worked at the water treatment plant and they had some kind of like something was backed up and some pipe exploded and they were like knee deep in shit.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be
Or not,
gross.
or it was like raw sewage. It wasn't even just
Right.
shit. It was just raw sewage. It was probably worse than if it was worse than if you were working on someone's house because it was
Right.
everybody's shit together and it would have been sitting there for who knows how long.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm sure they earn their money.
Oh yeah,
Like, I think people like that deserve their money more than people that have these government jobs where they don't really do anything. And
yeah. 'Cause like especially like in the middle of the night, if you're a plumber, if you became a plumber and someone's like, "Oh, I've got a busted pipe," and it's in the middle of the night, guess what? Your rates just double, triple.
oh, I know,
You know,
I know.
it's like if you're in the middle of the night going to a call, you could make bank just in
Hmm.
one job. It could be several $1,000s.
Yeah.
You know how bad it is.
Yeah, that's what I should have done when I got out of high school, just learn a trade. I think that's what a lot of these kids should do. Stop wasting your time going to universities and pissing away money when you're never going to get like a job that you're going to have more debt. The debt is not going to how much you pay to go to school, you're going to have to pay that back unless you're really smart and you're getting scholarships, and I don't think a lot of these
Right. I
jackasses are
don't
that
think, and they get
smart.
loans and to buy things like Game Boys or not Game Boys.
Right.
You know what
No,
I
they
mean?
do.
They
No,
don't
they
buy Game Boys anymore. They don't. Do they even make Game Boys
well,
anymore?
video game
Yeah,
crap.
yeah, they buy video games and phones and cars or
Shit they
whatever
don't
they're
need
buying,
that you're gonna be paying
but
off the
things
rest
that
of your
have
life.
nothing, yeah, some things that have nothing to do with going to school, they get all this crap, and it's like, that, I mean, yeah, it's kind of neat that you got all that stuff, but you've got to, it's like you can't file bankruptcy on that stuff.
I don't think they understand that.
That's the thing. If you
Like,
can, yeah, if you can get a loan, if you can get like just a regular loan and use that money to go to school, you would be better off than getting like a a college loan that you can't that you have to pay back. Getting a
mhm,
loan you don't have to pay back. So if something happened, you can always file bankruptcy. That'd be best. It's like I don't understand why they don't do that. But of course, not as many people would qualify for that loan because they're not going to give it to everybody if they know everyone's just going to file bankruptcy after they get through
right.
school.
It's just a big mess. They've just got a bunch of people that have no business being in school telling them they need to go, and then
Right.
most of them drop out, and then they have all this debt. Like, I know people now that have debt that didn't even finish, and it's
Well, I
just
don't, the way they do the because of the whole. I think we've got the college bubble, college loan bubble. I think the college bubble too. It's like people in high school when you graduate, you should be able to do some kind of trade,
right.
and
That's
then
what
if
I'm
you
saying. That's what the
and then
jobs are needed are
yeah,
trade
and
jobs.
then because it's like what do they shut down in school? First they shut down art, then art and music. Those are the first to go, and then
Mhm.
any kind of trade, any like shop and any kind of um anything that will teach you a skill. Those are the things that they'll shut down, and then they're pumping all this money in these schools, and those things. It's like if you have art, if you have music, if you have shop and other um mechanical type like auto shop or whatever, like trade skill classes, those can actually help people in real life and they can
Mhm.
get on it with the job. Because like if you do well in music, it's like you can get if you like let's say you go to school, you're in band or an orchestra or in choir, you can get scholarships to go to school and you won't have to pay anything if you actually do well. I was in band. You know how often I practiced?
Never.
Once a day, and that was in class. Yeah, never. I never did. And I was average. It's like there were people that were not as good as I was, and it's like how I don't even know how that was possible. It's like I didn't even try, and it's like I made it straight through, and it's like I'm sure I could have gotten a scholarship somewhere to in band somewhere at some school, maybe not like a big school, but at maybe a smaller school, I could have joined band there. I may have not gotten a full scholarship, but I'd have probably gotten something. But if you're like good, you wouldn't even have to be good, just halfway decent. You could get a scholarship to pay your whole way if you're in band or an orchestra. If you're in art, you're probably not going to get a scholarship. But you can. But it's like you probably are creative enough to do something that you can make something and sell it. Do paintings or something
Yeah, there's a lot of good artists too that are, I don't know.
that are losers.
Well, that you just it's hard. It's competitive. There's so many good
It is.
people, and
It is.
I wouldn't
Like
wanna I mean, I would
art.
do it, like, part-time and sell crap on Etsy or something, but even
Well,
that,
the
I
thing with
told you, they said
yeah.
their numbers are down, most of the stores. I know my store
Well,
hasn't
the thing
been
with art,
doing
it
so
isn't
hot.
how good you can do something or how nice it looks. It's how well you market it. Because you can sell a pile of crap, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's the greatest thing ever." And if everyone is told that, they'll buy it. Doesn't matter how crappy it is. Not everyone, of course. Most people won't. I mean, I wouldn't buy something crappy, but it's like if it's made well, you could be the greatest artist that ever lived, and you'll never be rich if no one knows who you are. But you could be the crappiest artist, and if you're marketed well and you can get your let everyone know about your art, then you'll become famous. Like what's that one Banksy or graffiti artist? Have you seen this stuff?
No.
Oh, anyway, there's a graffiti artist that goes around and has these political graffiti messages. It is it's like I've seen
Crap.
yeah, more or less it's crap. I've seen good graffiti artists. There are some like excellent graffiti artists. It's like every time I go to work, if there's a train, that's what I do. If a train's going by, I watch the graffiti go by on the train, and some of it's
Yeah,
really good. Some of
some
it
of
is
it
actually
is.
really good, and it's almost all of it is better than Banksy. Banksy is not very wasn't very maybe okay, and it's like yeah, he had some balls. He went and spray painted some stuff on buildings or train cars or wherever he sprayed, and in areas that yeah he could have gone to jail for it. So he had some guts, but he wasn't. It wasn't anything special other than it was a political message. But guess
Right.
what? People were like, "Oh, that's cool," and people spread the message, and now he's like world famous. And it's like if he came out like if someone came out and said, "Oh, I'm Banksy," I want. It's like he could get a job at any advertising firm. He could get a job. He has have unlimited job offers, and he'd be like could be like a multimillionaire overnight if he really wanted to, or he'd go to jail. One of the
Yeah.
two.
Well, it's been 30 minutes. Do you want to call it good, or is there anything
Yeah, we
else
don't
you
really.
have?
Yeah, we
Since
really didn't have
Mac's
anything.
not here, I think he kind of keeps it going, and I don't
Yeah, I think so
know.
too. We're
I
not
know. Am I supposed to call him or something? I don't know. Like maybe I'm
probably.
supposed to call him.
Maybe we should call him next
Oh,
time before the show.
all right. I'm gonna go ahead
And
and
maybe
stop
we
it.
should actually, maybe we should, next time we should actually think about